You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes, and welcome to the show, you non-toking lovers of liberty as well. It is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Boy, can you tell I'm excited? It's September, and that means we're only 2 months away from legalizing marijuana in the state of Oregon, the state of Alaska, Washington, D.C., and getting medical marijuana to the patients in Florida. We are just 2 months away from legalization votes taking place in 14 cities in Michigan, taking place in 3 cities in Maine, taking place in Is it Albuquerque? I think Albuquerque is still waiting to decriminalize. There are votes happening all over this country. And folks, we will be here with 420 Radio News, bringing you Marijuana Election Night 2014, Tuesday, November 4th. Join us all day. We will be bringing you from the time the polls close on the East Coast to the time the polls close in Alaska with live correspondence there. Sorry, excuse me. Got a little distracted. Live correspondence in all of these cities and states to bring us the latest information from their local polling places when legalization passes. Please join us, and if you'd like to become a sponsor, help support what we're doing, get some advertisement for your business on what is sure to be a 50,000 or more viewer day, make sure you get in touch with us here at 420 Radio. Check out 420radio.org/advertise if you're interested in getting in while the getting is good. All right, on today's show, plenty of stuff to go over. If you've been following my Twitter feed at Radical Russ, or following the blogs I write for at International Cannabis Business Conference, or High Times, or the Huffington Post, or the Weed Blog, you know what I've been up to, and that's going after Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis and all the anti-marijuana forces here in the state of Oregon who are trying to use their office, their public computers, our public office, our computers, our time, our taxpayer resources to try to fight against a state ballot initiative in violation of federal and state laws. We are going hard and heavy on this, and I have uncovered some more emails from the leading opponent of legalization, Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis, wherein he calls me a loon. Oh, so you wanted my undivided fucking attention, is that it? Okay, so we're going to go over some of those emails and some more proof that the leading anti-legalizer in the state of Oregon knows damn well that these educational events planned for the 1st of October are political events. We've got more evidence, more shocking revelations from his emails. Stay tuned for the Radical Rant, and we will tell you all about it. Also on the show today, we have got some information for you in Behind the Headlines. We'll be taking a look at something we reported on a couple of weeks ago that's just starting to gain traction in the mainstream media, and that is the use of hemp bast fibers to create new supercapacitors. This could be the new battery technology, cheap, efficient, reliable battery technology that we need in the coming green energy era. So we'll tell you all about that in Behind the Headlines right after our 420 Radio News. Also, we are wondering in drug war data mining, where has the Colorado pot tax money gone? We'll show you the analysis that shows why overtaxing marijuana is not beneficial to ending prohibition. Also, we've got an interview today with Alex Rogers, who's the director of the International Cannabis Business Conference that's taking place not this weekend, but next weekend here in Portland, Oregon. I'll be presenting there and bringing you live coverage. Also, this weekend, I'll be in Seattle for the Seattle Cannabis Cup. We've got our volunteer team all put together. We are ready to go this weekend. There will be no live show on Friday because I'll be on transit. Same with Monday, no live show on Monday. I'll be on transit back. We'll be plenty of content for you from the Seattle Cannabis Cup. All right, the 420 Radio News is next. Stay tuned. It's the Russ Belville Show.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization.
Join us for the International Cannabis Business Conference September 13th and 14th in the Portland Ballroom at the Oregon Convention Center. The International Cannabis Business Conference will focus on the emerging cannabis industry in Oregon, the United States, and around the world, putting you in front of the industry's foremost entrepreneurs, political leaders, and attorneys. Also showcasing over 40 cannabis-related industry exhibitors, offering VIP lunches and free nightly networking events. Prepare yourself for America's next great industry.
Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink every Thursday at 5 and 8 Pacific, with replays at 10 o'clock Friday nights on 420radio.org. It's time for the 420 Radio News, covering the latest headlines in consumer cannabis, medical marijuana, and industrial hemp. Transcripts of 420 Radio News are available daily on our website at 420radio.org. Now, here's Russ Belville with your marijuana headlines in 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014. The latest poll on marijuana legalization shows not only do 58% of Americans support it, but the most recent polling shows 61% in support and growing. Civic Science questioned over 450,000 Americans using an online poll distributed through multiple websites and protected against vote stuffing. Civic Science has asked, quote, "Would you support or oppose a law in your state that would legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana like alcohol," end quote, for over 2 years? Their responses show 58% support and 35% oppose legalization. However, responses from just May through August show 61% support and just 30% opposition, with 40% in the strongly support category. Men still outrank women in support for legalization, 60% to 55%. And in some interesting marketing data, strong supporters of legalization tend to favor brands like Starbucks, Trader Joe's, and Apple Computers. Strong opponents favored Walmart, Texas Roadhouse, and Cracker Barrel. The City Council of Kennewick, Washington voted unanimously to ban all marijuana licensees approved under Initiative 502. The move comes after the city of Fife was allowed by a judge to ban licensees because doing so would not thwart the will of the voters to regulate marijuana statewide, since Fife is tiny and adjacent to Tacoma, population 202,000, which has plenty of legal pot shops. Kennewick will face lawsuits from I-502 licensees who will note that, unlike Fife, the city numbers 75,000 in population. Kennewick is also part of a Tri-Cities metro region consisting of Pasco, 65,000, which has already banned I-502 businesses, and Richland and West Richland, which total 63,000 people, which are also considering bans. Nearby Walla Walla County has already banned I-502 businesses, and tiny Prosser, a 40-minute drive from the Tri-Cities, has the only open pot shop in the county and has banned any more from opening. We shall see if allowing only one pot shop in a county of over 200,000 passes judicial muster. In October, Colorado will drop the requirement that a recreational marijuana shop must first be a medical marijuana dispensary. Now the state is grappling with how to regulate the newcomers to the marijuana market. Initially, Amendment 64 required that only medical dispensaries could apply to be recreational shops, a situation that has created buildings where patients enter one door and civilians enter another, shopping for the identical product that must be kept in two separate supply chains. Requirements that a shop grow 70% of what it sells led to product shortages that kept the price of overtaxed marijuana even higher, as much as $500 per ounce. One change will be the state allowing pot to be grown under the sun. Currently, all pot production is done in indoor warehouses using electric light that contributes to energy waste and global climate change. However, growers complain, the state will only allow half the number of plants in a greenhouse as they allow in a warehouse, incentivizing the less environmentally friendly growing option. Researchers at the University of Colorado Denver will embark on the first scientific study on the use of Charlotte's Web CBD oil for Dravet syndrome. The disease, a form of epilepsy, gained notoriety in the Dr. Sanjay Gupta special where Charlotte Figi, a little girl with Dravet syndrome, seems miraculously cured of most of her seizures. However, other Dravet sufferers have found little to no help from the oil, rich in cannabidiol and nearly free of THC. The study will examine the genes of patients who have had success with Charlotte's Web versus those who have not, to determine if certain genetic markers predict the efficacy of CBD oil for certain patients. Recruiting for the new study will begin within a month, and the data will be collected until February of 2016. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations received $500,000 in federal grant money to combat illegal marijuana grows. They used that money to fund deputies and fly a helicopter to search for plants. The Cleveland Plain Dealer reported that the state seized 12,300 marijuana plants so far this year. A few of those plants belong to Timothy Sturgis, a 42-year-old man alleged to have been growing them. When a helicopter spotted his plants, he was confronted by deputies, held a gun to his mouth, and told deputies he'd kill himself. And after a 2-hour standoff, he did, while negotiators were on the phone with his parents in Cleveland. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014. You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420radio.org.
There's so much I worry about as a mom. Stephen Harper thinks that organized crime should continue to profit from marijuana prohibition. Imagine regulating marijuana like alcohol and cigarettes with a strong and clear educational message, making it more difficult for my kids and your kids to access. Drug dealers don't ask for ID. Stephen Harper does not have the kind of judgment we need to protect our children, authorized by the normal.
I don't use marijuana, but as a teacher of 36 years, I can tell you lots of other people use it. I don't believe in prohibition. I don't think it works. Prohibiting it hasn't stopped anybody from getting a hold of it. I would like to see it regulated so that maybe kids can't get a hold of it so easily. I know they get a hold of it now very easily. I support a new approach to marijuana. I support legalizing it. It's with us. It's not going to go away. And if we can get money through the taxation, we can also educate our kids about it. That's why I support it.
Welcome back, everybody. 13 after the hour, and time for us to go behind the headlines. And for today's segment, I want to talk about something we reported on. There was a recent conference, the American Chemical Society conference. And at that conference, I caught wind of the fact they'd be talking about the use of hemp, that is specifically hemp bast fibers, a waste product of hemp, actually, to be used as a new superconducting material for supercapacitors. Now, currently, researchers are using graphene. Graphene is an atom-thick layer of carbon, basically, and this has been used to produce all sorts of cannabis-based, or all sorts of batteries, I should say. And the problem with it, though, is it's very expensive. Graphene is a very, very expensive material. Now, there is a Canadian startup company that has put together a proposal here that they worked on at the meeting of the American Chemical Society, like I'd mentioned. And they're finding that hemp bast fibers can pack as much energy and power as graphene. Of course, the graphene's very expensive, and hemp bast fibers, if hemp is legal, can be incredibly cheap. Now, as far as this is explained, David Mitland, PhD, explained this to the website Earth We Are One. He says that supercapacitors are energy storage devices that have huge potential to transform the way future electronics are powered. Unlike today's rechargeable batteries, which sip up energy over several hours, supercapacitors can charge and discharge within seconds, but normally can't store nearly as much energy as batteries, an important property known as energy densities. One approach researchers are taking to boost supercapacitors' energy density is to design better electrodes. Mitland's team has figured out how to make them from certain hemp fibers, and they can hold as much energy as graphene. Mitland says our device's electrochemical performance is on par with or better than graphene-based devices. The key advantage is that our electrodes are made from bio-waste using a simple process and therefore are much cheaper than graphene. Now, the ideal supercapacitor is something that's very important for scientists as we're trying to build better solar cells, water filtration systems, touchscreen technology, batteries, superconductors, and so forth. And this material may just be what does the trick. Hemp bast. According to Mitland, he says we've pretty much figured out the secret sauce of it. The trick is really to understand the structure of a starter material and to tune how it's processed to give you what would rightfully called amazing properties, end quote. Now, the hemp bast has usually been a throwaway product when we're trying to produce buds for smoking or trying to produce the stalks for fiber or trying to produce the seeds for oil or for food. The bast has just been kind of a throwaway, but now we're finding even the bast could have a decent use here, a very important use in our new green energy future. One of the things that we find is a problem with green energy, and I was just reading up on this in another unrelated article yesterday, is the fact that when we have a power grid, it has to be supplied consistently, right? There has to be X number of demand and Y amount of supply. If you have too much demand and not enough supply of electricity, that's when you start getting blackouts and brownouts. And it can be just as bad the opposite way. If the grid's got too much power and not enough demand, it has to get rid of some of that power. In fact, in the state of Texas, they will allow you to charge your electric car for free as long as you do it at night because they've got all this surplus power they've got to get off the grid. So that's one of the big problems is with wind power or solar power or water power, any of these type of green energy techniques, is that they're not consistent in the power that they release. So it's hard to gear how much energy you're going to get from a wind farm, let's say, compared to how many people are going to use that energy. And in fact, some of these wind farms have experienced, shutdowns and outages when they got too much energy. When a storm passes through and they get too much wind, it can be problematic. So if we can have a new super battery, a new supercapacitor made out of hemp that could store all that residual energy and be able to discharge it quickly when there is a need on the power grid, this could forever change the viability of green energy sources. That's one of the roadblocks that's been a problem with green energy is it's rise and fall, right? It's supply and demand there. The green energy, sometimes you don't have it when you need it, right? You get clouds, you get a calm day, whatever. Or sometimes you need it, you don't have enough of it. So this could be a major, major change. And what they found is that these bast fibers could be heated and would exfoliate into carbon nanosheets. They could then use the hemp-derived carbons as electrodes, and the hemp-based devices yielded energy densities as high as 12 watt-hours per kilogram, 2 to 3 times higher than commercial counterparts. And they also operate over an impressive temperature range from freezing to more than 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Mitland says his company is past the proof of principle stage for the fully functional supercapacitor. Now we're gearing up for small scale manufacturing. He conducted this research at the University of Alberta and has gotten funding from Alberta Innovates Technology Futures, National Institute for Nanotechnology of Canada, and the Alberta Livestock and Meat Agency. So while we here in America are still struggling with the idea that we ought to let farmers grow a crop that isn't a drug, that can never get you high, Canada is moving forward on creating the new green energy source battery of the future. Canada is going to be the country that has all the patents, that has all the technology, that has all of the research into these hemp batteries and hemp supercapacitors, and we in the United States are going to end up having to play catch up. Just because our drug warriors can't stand the thought that somebody might be altering their mood, their mind, and their consciousness with something other than alcohol or a pharmaceutical. And that's what it really comes down to, folks. Marijuana is not banned because it's a drug. Marijuana is banned because hemp is an oil and an energy source. Yeah, that's right. It is gnarly there, Spicoli. It's 420 in Denver, Colorado, America's cannabis capital, and all throughout the Mountain Time Zone, the home of my birth, Boise, Idaho. Happy 420 to my friends in Boise, assuming you were able to find some. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, some drug war data mining. Where has all the Colorado pot tax money gone? It's the Russ Belville Show.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio. Weed Nerd with Subcool and Ms. Jill from the Emerald Triangle of Northern California, replaying Tuesdays at 1 Pacific on 420radio.org. Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining.
Welcome back, everyone. 22 and a half after the hour. And in today's Drug War Data Mining, we ask, gee, where has all the Colorado pot tax money gone? Well, we're going to take a look at this because I've seen this replayed in a few different media locations. The basic theme of it is, all you pot people promised all this money and now it's not there. It's kind of maybe a shot across the bow against legalization in Oregon and Alaska. The CNN Money piece heads off with, Colorado is missing $21.5 million in pot taxes. Oh my God, that leads someone to think that, it's been stolen or there's some corruption or something. No, nothing like that. That's just the difference in the $33.5 million that was estimated that would be made from pot taxes and the, $12 million that they've made so far, right? So they're just taking the difference between the two and saying that we're missing $21.5 million. So they wanted to know, why were the estimates so off? Why were the estimates so high for $33.5 million that we'd pull in and we've only pulled in 12 or so? Well, first of all, they note pot smokers are still buying on the black market. The state thought more people would migrate out of the black market, but only 60% of the people who want pot in Colorado this year will buy it through legal channels. Why? Well, because legal retail marijuana is taxed at more than 27%, so it's easily cheaper on the black market. See, I've always counseled against going with the how much money we'll make or how much money we'll save argument. I always worry about that because then the argument becomes against, you said it'd be this much and then it turned out to be this much, or you said it would be so much money and it's never turned out that way. And now we're arguing about quantifying the results of legalization rather than taking a look at the quality of the results of legalization, the quality that we're no longer treating law-abiding citizens like criminals. That's why we should be legalizing marijuana. Any tax revenue we get off of marijuana is a bonus. any tax revenue we get is infinitely more than the tax revenue that we got beforehand. So I've never liked, having to peg a number. We're going to make 40 million or whatever we're going to make, because then your opponents get to say, see, you're liars. You're liars. You said there'd be this much and there wasn't that much. But of course, here's some of the factors. One of them is the black market factor, and that has to do with the overtaxation. When a product is taxed at 27% in one market and taxed only 2.9% in the medical market, when my choice is a 3% tax versus a 27% tax, guess what I'm going to pick? And they point that out too. Some are likely procuring it under the table for medical marijuana patients who buy it on the up and up and then resell it illegally, depriving the state of tax revenue. No, those people who bought the marijuana at the dispensary gave the state all the tax revenue it deserved, the 2.9%. What they're depriving them of is the 27% raping the healthy person has to go through to get marijuana. See, I love it when these medical marijuana people say, marijuana shouldn't be taxed. Marijuana shouldn't be taxed. It's a medicine. It's for the sick. It shouldn't be taxed. But if you're a healthy person, they're all for the taxes. They got no problem with the taxes then. If you're healthy, by God, then you deserve to have to pay an extra 27%, they figure. And of course, getting your medical marijuana card is not that hard in Colorado. It costs $15 to register with the state. And there's about $40 you can go see a doctor. So for $55, I can have a 24% tax reduction for the rest of the year? Of course people are going for that. And the other problem with Colorado has this tax law thing that they did through initiatives that requires the government to refund any tax money to taxpayers that they went over their estimate. So of course they're going to estimate high. They're going to estimate high. If they had come out and said, we're only going to make $5 million on pot tax, they'd had to give back the other $7 million on pot tax that was over the estimate. So go ahead, let's estimate really, really high. And then that way we don't go over and we don't have to give any of the money back. It's more of this tax money type shenanigans that are going on in Colorado and Washington, and why I'm so excited about Measure 91 here in Oregon. Check out voteyeson91.com. We're only going to tax marijuana at $35 an ounce. One time, one flat tax, $35 an ounce. And we see the result of that, the lowered prices and the reduction in the black market. And I predict in Oregon, a reduction in medical marijuana patient rolls, because paying $200 to the state isn't going to get you that much of a tax benefit. So we will update you on this once Oregon passes.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420radio.org.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
NORMAL stands for responsible adult cannabis use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks may be far less than those posed by legal drugs. Activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everyone. 29 after the hour, and we continue with our activist agenda. We got so much going on. This weekend, we're headed to Seattle for the High Times Cannabis Cup, and I'll be presenting there on Sunday at 2 o'clock. on the top 10 lies about legalization and the sound bites you need to debunk them. Those will come in handy here in Oregon as we're fighting for legalization with Measure 91, and we're getting ready for the amazing new industry that will be built here in the state of Oregon and throughout the rest of the world. In fact, this is more than just a national thing. This is an international thing. The whole world is looking at the United States and particularly the states that are moving forward with marijuana commerce. And joining us here to talk about that today on the Activist Agenda, we got the organizer of the International Cannabis Business Conference taking place September 13th and 14th right here in Portland, Oregon at the Oregon Convention Center. Alex Rogers is on the line. Alex, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Russ.
Are you getting excited? We're just 2 weekends away here from having what's going to be the biggest conference in probably the whole West Coast.
Excited is not quite what I would call it because I'm working so hard, but I will be excited a few days before the event once I've taken care of all the loose ends that go into logistically preparing for such an endeavor.
Yeah, and folks, this is one not to miss. You want to check out internationalcbc.com for information on getting tickets, but we've got a stellar lineup of guests that will be presenting here. Why don't you tell folks about some of the folks that will be appearing here?
Yeah, well, we wanted to, when we conceived this event, what we wanted to do, what we thought was, what do people really need to know about the cannabis industry from all types of facets? What's really going on? What's the grit people need to know? So we came up with a curriculum, and when I say we, is Anthony Johnson and I. And we came up with a curriculum of what we thought people needed to know specifically. And then we went and recruited each speaker accordingly. For example, tax reform and banking is a huge issue and problem in this industry, as everybody knows. And so we recruited Congressman Earl Blumenauer to come and speak, and he's thankfully he graciously accepted, and that's a big one, and it's going to be what the information that he gives is going to be directly from the horse's mouth, and we also have a very unique keynote speaker. We wanted to kind of go outside the box and get someone that we really admired, someone that was on our side, not necessarily a business person for the keynote. Wanted to make it a little bit sexy and exciting, and so we outreached to Andrew Sullivan, and he so graciously accepted. And what this conference is going to be is it's going to be informational. There's going to be 35 exhibitors, and there's going to be networking events also. So it's kind of business is the main focus, but of course, if you're going to do business in this industry, you're going to need to know the political and legal nuances of that, and we'll be delving deeply into all those things.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Andrew Sullivan. I've been following his work with the Daily Dish, and even before that, he's been a prominent blogger. And folks, he's not an easy guy to pigeonhole, because on one hand, he's a very conservative commentator. On the other hand, he's a gay man who's been fighting for gay rights very strongly. On one hand, he's supposed to be somewhat a Republican, but on the other hand, he's strongly in favor of marijuana legalization. So do you feel like having Andrew Sullivan, someone like him at this event, is kind of showing how this is branching out beyond just the marijuana people?
I mean, totally. I mean, my degree's in political science. I'm fascinated with the political atmosphere around the country right now. I'm fascinated that the House passed a bill defunding the DEA in medical marijuana states, and I'm fascinated the fact that if it wasn't for the Tea Partiers, that would probably not pass. I'm fascinated with Cory Booker and Rand Paul teaming up to do the Senate version of that. So it's cannabis really, and the legalization movement encompasses and encapsulates, everything good about America, or bad, whichever way you look at it. I mean, it's a states' rights issue. It's a human rights issue. It's a medical issue, and so on. So by picking Andrew, we were happy when he accepted, because he really was the person that we wanted there, that kind of represented a new face. And of course, he wasn't afraid. He's not afraid to come out of that proverbial closet, the closet, or the proverbial closet, as the case may be.
Yeah, really.
So we're very excited about that, and I'm completely fascinated with what's happening with politics and cannabis in general.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, this is happening on an international scale as well. While we're paying attention to Oregon, Alaska, Florida, Washington, D.C., moving forward on marijuana reforms, there's countries that have moved forward already, particularly Uruguay. Will we have any representatives from Uruguay or other international reps?
We do. We have Laura Blanco coming to speak from Uruguay on our international panel, and she has been commissioned by the government to grow marijuana, and she will be giving a complete breakdown of what's going on in Uruguay, because I think a lot of us are so curious of what's happening. We hear, they've legalized, but what does that mean? Are there any opportunities that lie therein? And so on. So we're very excited to have Laura coming to represent Uruguay. We're very excited to have Philippe Lucas from Canada coming to tell us what's going on to the north of us. And we're going to be getting an international perspective. The main focus will be on what's going on in America, but ironically enough, America is the hub of international cannabis business right now, and who would ever thunk it, Russ?
Yeah, really. It's an amazing thing, and we're speaking with Alex Rogers from the International Cannabis Business Conference. Check out the website at internationalcbc.com. The conference is in 2 weekends away, not this weekend, but the next weekend, the 13th and 14th. I'll be presenting there as well as part of a table on Oregon legalization, actually statewide legalization all across the country, I believe it is. What other sorts of business panels could people attend there, and will there be any regarding industrial hemp?
There will, Russ. It's going to be a 2-day program, Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and 14th, and it'll be 9 to 5 each day. And Doug Fine, best-selling author Doug Fine, will be speaking on, I think it's Sunday, regarding industrial hemp. And, I always say that, obviously cannabis is marijuana flowers is the business right now. And of course, that a lot of that has to do with the Fed's 99 plant federal mandatory minimum sentencing guideline, and the fact that they don't distinguish between industrial hemp and sensimilla. But I've always so the business is cannabis right now, but we're seeing it slowly but surely, and this is another thing that a lot of individual states are pushing, Vermont, Kentucky, so on. Even Oregon, we're seeing hemp starting to come into the picture. And if people are interested in getting in on the ground floor of something big, well, cannabis is the $1 billion crop, but hemp is the $1 trillion crop. So we have Doug Fine, one of the world's experts, coming and who's traveled all around the world and seen hemp fields all around the world, coming to school us up on what's going on and putting our fingers on the pulse of the hemp industry.
All right. Really looking forward to that. Doug's been a guest on the show a couple of times, and we always get great information from him. It's the International Cannabis Business Conference, September 13th and 14th. Tickets are available at internationalcbc.com. We're speaking with Alex Rogers. And as far as networking events, will there be things happening after the panels, or does the network happening during the event?
No, we only have one heavy track. We don't want to dilute the tracks. We don't want to dilute the information. We have a lot of other great programs, too, like Advanced Dispensary, Advanced Cannabis Business. We have Representative Peter Buckley and Senator Floyd Przansky from Oregon talking about the Oregon legislature and what's going on there. I mean, we're really encompassing everything right there during the day, and then in the evenings, we're networking and we're partying. And we have Rocker T performing, and your 2-day pass, of course, includes this. Rocker T's performing on Saturday night, and only for conference attendees. And then Sunday night, Guy Obelam and Alex Elkin are doing cannabis comedy night for us. And so we not only have great networking and information going on at the Portland Ballroom during the day, but we keep it going and try to take it to the next level during the evening, and maybe have a few cocktails and who knows what else, and let it open up a little bit.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And of course, also looking forward to the election. November 4th, Oregon will be voting on Measure 91. I anticipate it will pass and Oregon will be legalized. How will that change things for the ICBC 2?
Well, gosh, I mean, it just catapults us into the next realm of possibilities.
Do you think Oregon could perhaps become, could overshadow Washington and Colorado in its marijuana industry?
It could, for maybe a couple different reasons. For one, it's on the West Coast. For two, it's learned from some of the mistakes that were written into Colorado and Washington. It is a better piece of it's not a piece of legislation. It's a better bill initiative than the other two, in my opinion. There's some things that really make that clear. But it's just going to take the ICBC to the next level. It's going to take Oregon to the next level, and we really are going to have to concentrate on job creation and all the jobs that will be created if Measure 91 passes. And so it'll bring a whole different dynamic to the ICBC.
Right on.
And be nothing but a good thing for the state of Oregon.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. International Cannabis Business Conference, internationalcbc.com. It's September 13th and 14th. Tickets are available. Alex Rogers is the man behind it, and we thank you, Alex, for joining us on the show and giving us a little more info.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Russ. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy. Now, when we come back, we go to our Radical Rant, and Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis wants my undivided fucking attention. Well, Josh, you got it. Rant is next.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
420 Radio is 24-hour marijuana legalization radio. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org. In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
Answer the following questions by raising your hands. Thanks for your participation.
This has been the anti-drug public service announcement of the day. To cure this sort of reefer madness, listen to the Russ Belville Show every weekday on 420radio.org. I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio.
You can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, no immorality in general.
How in the century you have slurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are live here. I'm just pulling up some news stories. I saw a note in my chat room about the Tigard event fizzling out. I think that's the story that already quoted me on it, so I don't know if that's another story, but it is another story. Anyway, let me get back to my subject for the day, which is, as you can tell from the screen, Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis, who has emerged as a leading law enforcement spokesperson against marijuana legalization that is proposed by Measure 91. Marquis is also involved, for those of you who haven't been following, Marquis is involved with the planning and production and appearing at a series of so-called marijuana educational events that will bring Kevin Sabet into town, the author of Reefer Sanity. Kevin Sabet, as well as the Colorado and Washington heads of Project SAM. Again, it's just educational. The fact they happen to be from states that recently legalized and Oregon is about to legalize and they're against legalization has nothing to do with it, right? Anyway, so I've been on Josh Marquis' tail here for the past week. Filed a couple of Freedom of Information Act requests trying to find out, has he been using his company, or I should say county email address? Has he been using his county phone? Has he been using his county time on salary time? Has he been using any public funds to help this so-called educational event? Because as we know, a couple of different providers for this event, Best Care Prevention Services and the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, have pulled their representatives and their funding from the event, citing its political nature. But Josh Marquis and these people, the Kevin Sabet crowd, want to say, no, it's just educational, despite the fact they don't have a single person at any of their stops who is pro-marijuana. Everyone who they've got testifying has come out against Measure 91, but it's not supposed to be political. So anyway, I've been peppering this guy with some emails back and forth. I want to read just some of his responses to me, but first, I want to start off with a smoking gun. Oh yeah. We have got an email. We have obtained an email here at 420 Radio News from Josh Marquis. Now, it's not from his company email. It's not from the county email address. He's made a Gmail address to send this. He's been corresponding with one of our associates here at 420 Radio. And he sent her an email that was not intended for her. He sent an email that was intended for some of the other people on his anti-Measure 91 campaign team that he says he's not a part of, that he says he has no hand in promoting this event or no hand in organizing it. We have an email that he sent to other members of the team, not intending to send it to our correspondent, who happened to get it accidentally. Here's the email. This woman left me a message. Before I go on, by the way, Josh Marquis likes to use all caps every now and then. And so in the internet, all caps is shouting. So I will shout the parts that he puts in the email. Oh, and Gothic Prophet wants to know, how can we verify the Gmail account is actually his? Because of the contents of the email, who he was sending it to, and the fact that the email conversation continues. So, and that he admits that it's him. So I guess we can't truthfully prove, absolutely beyond a shadow of doubt, that it's not somebody spoofing us. But here we go. This woman left me a message. Is she the Hood River contact? Is Hood River on or off? Hood River, by the way, folks, is one of the cities on this 12-city anti-marijuana tour that they're planning. Is Hood River on or off? If I call her, I'll record the conversation both Steve LaRich and I have. If I call her, I'll record the conversation. And then he's speaking about, in this next line, he's speaking about Steve LaRich. Now, Steve LaRich is the district attorney for Jefferson County, okay? And so the district attorney from Clatsop County on a private email account is writing to, supposedly he thinks, a team member, but truthfully coming out to one of my people. And he states, both Steve LaRich and I have received very invasive and harassing demands for all our emails, phone calls, even websites visited. We'll have to give up most, but other than the inconvenience, it's no big deal. Well, isn't that interesting? That the top law enforcement official of a county in a state thinks that a public records request from a citizen is very invasive and harassing. Those of us citizens who want to use the law that says we have the right to see our public records, how our money is spent on email servers, how our money is spent on elected officials and their staff, and we just want a little sunshine, we just want a little transparency, we just want to see and verify whether or not the Clatsop County DA Josh Marquis is using public funds or public equipment in any way to influence election against the law, why he thinks that's invasive and harassing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Josh. Didn't mean to be invasive and harassing against you. I mean, not as invasive and harassing as a SWAT team kicking down your door, shooting your pet, and ruining your life over a little bit of weed. Not that harassing and invasive. Josh Marquis continues, now Steve has a private email address. Oh, now he has a private email address, which suggests to me that before now, he didn't have a private email address. And before now, Steve LaRich, the DA from Jefferson County, has been using his non-private, county-paid-for email address to help promote, coordinate, and run this anti-Measure 91 campaign. Thanks for that information, Josh. Nice to know that now he has a private email address. See, what they're trying to do now is they're trying to cover their tracks. They're scared. They are frightened. And they are trying to cover their tracks to make sure that not a single dime of public money goes into funding or promoting this tour. But there's a problem. There's a problem. You can't just make it private as soon as someone points out that you're using public funds and think you can get away with it. The fact that you've used public funds up to this point is what we've got the problem with. He continues, quote, and referring to Steve LaRich, says, quote, he, meaning well, asked me about inviting the loon who sent the demand, as Russ Belville, to be a presenter. I told him I thought it was a very bad idea. The loon who sent the demand, that's me. I'm the citizen. I'm the citizen who asked to have a public official show some transparency in their public records as required under Oregon law. And this district attorney, this top law enforcement official in the county, thinks a person who does that is a loon. I could be a loony. I could be a Canadian $2 coin, I guess. I'm a loon. And that having me present at a marijuana educational event would be a very bad idea. A very bad idea. Because, you know, I might tell the truth. Another line he's got in here. Senator Johnson is interested in the OHA pro-pot connection, so I'm writing her so she can pass it on. I can handle the here. I can handle the here. I don't know what that means. But Senator Johnson is one of our Oregon state senators, and OHA is the Oregon Health Authority. And it seems to me in the context of this, he is saying that there is some sort of pro-pot connection at the Oregon Health Authority that he'd like to go after for using public funds to promote Measure 91. We shall see. What else do we have? Oh, here's something else. General Dean, CEO of CADCA, and although CADCA is not supportive of us moving forward, Patrick Kennedy and others are. I will keep you posted once I hear from the ONDCP. Oh, okay, I see. He's asking the person he's emailing, what does this mean? And the person he had emailed to had said, General Dean, CEO of CADCA, and CADCA's not supportive, Patrick Kennedy is, and keep you posted once I hear from ONDCP. Sounds to me like the person that Josh is emailing as part of this educational tour team has been in contact with the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, CADCA, has been in contact with Patrick Kennedy, the founder of Project SAM that opposes marijuana legalization, and of course the ONDCP. The ONDCP, the Drug Czar's office. So don't worry, folks. It's just an educational thing. Has nothing to do with politics, even though we have contacted the leading political organization against marijuana legalization, and we contacted the leading federal agency against marijuana legalization. It's just educational. Just educational. He concludes by saying, thanks for all your hard work, and please let me know when the tour schedule is set so I can make my reservations. Very interesting. So my contact wrote back to him and said, I don't think the below message was intended for me. I'm not sure why you'd have my email at all. And continues to ask him a few more questions. And this continues a long email chain between my correspondent and the county district attorney, Josh Marquis. Here's a couple of quotes from it. I'm going to read you the whole damn thing. But here's some of the quotes from the email chain that went on from that point on. From Josh Marquis, quote, I've rarely seen more political fear spread on any issue, and as an elected official for 20 plus years, that's saying something. And what he's referring to is the political fear that, oh no, citizens are paying attention and are calling us on using public money to campaign against citizen initiatives. There should be some political fear. Because under Oregon state law, Josh Marquis, and every one of you who are a part of this educational tour, under Oregon law, you can be personally liable for the damages that are found if you have broken the law. Personally liable. So here's another quote from his email chain. Quote, anyone associated with the tour should expect harassment in the form of invasive public records requests. Harassment. Invasive. Those of us who ask for public records, trying to determine whether or not our public officials are breaking the law by using our public money to campaign against our public initiative, why, that's invasive and harassing. Ooh. What else we got in here? Oh, quote, but at this point, the tour is privately funded, the supporters of 91 having succeeded in politically bullying most funding sources away from any involvement. Politically bullying? Politically bullying. That's what he calls it when us citizens point to public money and say, hey, you can't use that under the law. That's apparently bullying. When we force the other side to have to obey the fucking law, it's apparently bullying to Josh Marquis. But I particularly like the point where he says, at this point, the tour is privately funded. Oh, so you're admitting to us that up until this point, it was being publicly funded. You're admitting to us that you are openly breaking federal and state election law against public officials using public money to campaign against public initiatives. Yeah, you better be afraid, Josh Marquis. You have earned my undivided fucking attention. If this doesn't end with ethics complaints and state and federal election law violation investigations, and hopefully your job, I'll be very disappointed. It's all the time we got for Hour 1, but we'll continue the talk in Hour 2. Toker Talk Radio is up next. Phone lines are open at 971-533-7111. For everyone here at 420 Radio, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it,